Well, Freo missed the finals last year, but we don't know if that was a list problem. So we have named our best 23 for this year. What do you reckon? We're going to go line by line. But before we do, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got plenty of footy content coming out this year. And for now, Freo. But before we get into it, don't forget that zerohanger.com is the #1 independent AFL news source for all your AFL news, trades, draft content, and now games. Check out our latest game, AFL Streakr. Test out your footy stats knowledge and see if you can get your name on the leaderboard. All right, here to break it down, Freo's best 23 for 2025 AFL reporter, Aidan Cellini. How are you, mate?
Good. This one's an interesting one, so I'm keen to get stuck in.
Yeah, so obviously Freo have a good list despite how they finished last year.
Yeah, I mean, they lost, I think, the last 3 or 4 games of the season. They coughed up a top 4 chance, so they didn't have the biggest off-season, although they did bring in one, I think, star player who is a difference maker. But I think a lot of their improvements going to come internally and how they actually play the game. We know Justin Longman is a bit more defensively minded, but we did see last year a couple times and throughout periods that they turned that defensive style into a more attacking brand, which turned out quite well for them.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's see how that reflects in our best 23, starting off with the defenders. All right, so starting off with the backline, Luke Ryan, Alex Pearce, Heath Chapman, Brandon Walker, Brennan Cox, Jordan Clark. So really no notes on this one. They're pretty solid down there. Yeah,
I think last year they were ranked 3rd or 4th best defensive team for scores against. And they did have Brennan Cox missing at periods last year. They did trial him up forward too, but we think he's a lock for down back. Alex Pearce, the captain, also a superstar, should be in All-Australian calculations as well, pending he remains fit. Heath Chapman returns too. Jordan Clark, Brandon Walker provide that bounce off halfback, which Dockers desperately need. And then Luke Ryan's just a general down there. So we don't predict too many changes, if not any at all, but still a pretty decent looking back 6.
Yeah, don't fix what ain't broken. All right, let's do the midfield, starting with the ruck. Obviously, Sean Darcy, the main man there, and then Andrew Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, Hayden Young, such a strong midfield. And then on the wings, Jeremy Sharp and Bailey Banfield.
So 2 words that come immediately to mind is stacked and scary. You mentioned Brayshaw, Sarong and Young. They're going to be the new 1-2-3 punch, which Sydney's Eric Gordon, Heaney and Warner took that cake last year. I think these guys are just primed to kind of take over the competition, which the rest of the team should be scared of. We do have Sean Darcy starting in the ruck because we think Luke Jackson's versatility to play up forward kind of has him there to begin with. And then the wings, Jeremy Sharp, although being, I guess, delisted from the Suns a couple of years ago, has really made that wing role his own. And he's one of the best runners in the competition, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be on that wing. And then Bailey Banfield, more of a half forward, but he does have the tank to push up the ground a little bit more, which allows kind of their forward line to have a bit of a different mix, which we still haven't named one X Factor player who just joined the club as of recent too. So exciting stuff.
Right, and forwards, starting with the half forwards, Sam Swikowski, Josh Tracy, Shai Bolton, and then Michael Frederick, Jai Amos, and Luke Jackson. So where do you want to start with this one?
Shai Bolton.
Yeah.
Obviously, course him from Richmond. The Dockers gave up 2 first-round picks for him. At his best, he's a 40-plus goal-kicking forward midfielder. We have seen him burst into the midfield for the Tigers for many years, and it's rare to see someone ever go with him. Also put him up forward. Again, very rare to see defenders go with him. So he can be the real difference maker to kind of see the Dockers improve. I know they finished outside the 8 last year, but they could jump up to a top 4. And history suggests that sometimes a team that is outside the top 8 does make a fair run to a double chance. And I think Shai Bolton could be that player.
Yep. And Josh Tracy as well coming in there.
Exciting. The big kahuna, they call him, out in the West. He burst onto the scene last year. He had previously some injury niggles to kind of delay his development initially, but 2024 was his year. And we can only expect him to improve. He's now taken the #1 seed as the key forward at the Dockers. And for good reason too. He's uncompromising as a forward, kind of a traditionalist in that sense. And he's kind of scary. So make sure you get out of his way if you are in his way.
Yep. And in a similar vein, Jai Amos also make a name for himself.
Yeah, so kind of similar to Tracy. He has taken a little bit longer to develop, but he's coming along very nicely. He has put on size over the off-season. He's looking, again, ready to pounce. He's only, I think, it's his 4th season coming into, so has been given a bit of a grace period, but now's the time where, they see a lot of improvement, and therefore the Dockers will see that on the ladder as well.
All right, and rounding out the 23 with the interchange, we've got Matthew Johnson, James Age, Nat Fife, Sonny Walters, and then O'Meara as the sub. So let's start with Nat Fife.
Well, it's kind of clear that the midfield at the Dockers has gone past him, which is no slight on Nat Five. He's had a great career so far, and it is still going, mind you. But he's going to play kind of a bit of a cameo role, a bit of a Robin to their Batman. He might pinch shit in the midfield every now and then. They have trialled him up forward. To some extent, didn't work as well as they'd hoped. But again, he's still a high-flying player, a very strong player who can still provide an option up forward. And given the fact that he is still Nat Five, opposition are still going to send, some of their best defenders to him to make sure he doesn't get a hold of them in games.
Yeah. And in a similar vein, also kind of on the way out, but still has a lot to contribute, is Michael Walters.
Yeah, so if this is kind of player number 22 or 21 in your best 23, it's pretty exciting stuff. We do know that he is a little bit older, a bit long in the tooth, but he's still a very good goal sneak and has always been for the Dockers. But with the likes of Switowski, and Michael Frederick and Shai Bolton, we do see Walters kind of playing a bit of a cameo role when he does get on the park for the Dockers.
All right, so as we said, pretty strong 23, pretty much the same as last year, except for the inclusion of Bolton.
Yeah, so we do think all their growth is going to come internally. They've got a stacked midfield. They've got one of the best defensive setups in the league. And they do have some up-and-coming forwards that we are very excited about, or Dockers fans should be very excited about, in Josh Tracy and Jai Amos.
Yeah, so probably a couple of players that were stiff to miss out and should be considered. So Josh Draper, we didn't name.
Yeah, so kind of a utility defender, can play both tall and small. Did get many look-ins in 2024, but with everyone at full health, we probably do see him miss out. But we do think that given the fact they've kind of gone midfield heavy and definitely forward midfield heavy, that if they were trying to create a bit more balance in their lineup based on what we predict their best 23 to be, Josh Draper would be one of the first names to be recalled.
Yeah, and probably one more name there that should be considered, Corey Wagner.
And yes, in the same vein as Josh Draper, and the defender, obviously maybe a bit smaller than Draper himself, but does provide a lot of run and dare off halfback, which the Dockers are looking to bring into their game more so. And he was definitely doing that in 2024 when he did get his chance.
Yep, absolutely. So interesting one for the Dockers in 2025. Again, pretty much unchanged apart from Bolton. So let us know in the comments if you think that they maybe should change a little bit more. What do you think of our best 23? Thank you, Aidan, for breaking this down for me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got a lot of content coming out this year, and catch all the latest AFL news at zerohanger.com.